Hi, happy Sunday, everyone. This is Stephanie. Today I am going to discuss my views regarding Dr. Umar Johnson's appearance on the Roland Martin show. First of all, I thought it was very entertaining, enlightening, and intriguing. I thought Dr. Umar Johnson presented his views, his Pan-Africanist views, logically. Now, I don't know if they were all based in truth, and he's being critiqued about that quite a bit in this aftermath of his appearance. But he did have a logical argument. But of course, if it's not based in truth, that's a logical fallacy in itself. All right, my response to his appearance and to the entire panel actually centers around, since I'm focusing on Black literature, a poem that came to mind as I watched the show. It was written in 1969 by Dudley Randall, and the title is Booker T and W.E.B. I chose this poem because it is historically known to embody the different views and kind of pit them in opposition to one another. The different views of Booker T. Washington, whose premise was that to progress the Black race in America, we had to focus on vocational skills and menial labor, staying in our lane and doing what the predominantly white, our predominantly white counterparts in this country asked us to do. W.E.B. DuBois had a different take on how to progress the race in this country. He said that we need to take the top intellectual individuals, the talented 10th was his premise, that the top 10%, the intellectual elite of the Black race, will be the ones responsible for pushing the Black race forward. So we had to get as many people educated, and the top 10% of that group will be the ones who will push for equality, in our equality in this country. Now, with all that being said, what I want to talk about really quickly is binary opposition and westernized thinking. They're kind of one and the same. Now, you can compare and contrast things without necessarily having to say that one is better than the other or valuing one over the other, but that's kind of the mindset that we've gotten into in this Western culture. It doesn't have to be that way. You can have both and, meaning more holistic thinking. That's my response to the panel, because you had like 5 people on that panel, which means you're going to have 5 different perspectives and viewpoints among different factors within that whole conversation. They don't necessarily have to be opposing per se in every aspect, but in some aspects. What I want to say about that is that we can be unified without being uniform, because everybody does not think the same. Everybody does not process information the same. And then when you add language to that, what was that? When he talked about why men who were active in racial equality initiatives and movements, why if they married outside of the race, they should not be respected. Well, they can be respected on certain levels. They can actually be respected on all levels because they did stand up and say something. Now, I understand his position regarding, the most intimate aspect of being able to progress a race is to marry within the race, but that is a trick bag in itself because it also promotes kind of a racist ideology, meaning that no one else outside the race can be useful in progressing the race, which is not necessarily true, which is what I think he was being questioned about on the panel. But in the same token, when someone marries outside of the race, though they claim to be for the race and for the struggle, it comes into question whether or not they're really for it. So I understand that as well. We can go around and around in circles. My response to that is this. It's like eating chicken or eating a T-bone steak. Eat the meat, throw away the bones. Eat what is nourishing. What is not useful, throw it away. That way we can all progress with different types of perspectives and different ideologies, because not really one is just going to get it in terms of cultural criticism, cultural critique. Now, when you want to start talking about spirituality, we have division there as well, which is not going to help. And I have professed to be a Christian, so I truly believe that Christian standpoints and Christian standards is what is going to bring the world together for us to be able to progress as one human race. All right. I am now going to read an excerpt from Booker T and W.E.B. by Dudley Randall. You can read the entire poem on your own. It's not that long actually, but of course because of copyright, I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to start kind of in the middle and read till the end. It seems to me, said Booker T, that all you folks have missed the boat who shout about the right to vote and spend vain days and sleepless nights in uproar over civil rights. Just keep your mouths shut, do not grouse, but work and save and buy a house. I don't agree, said W.E.B. For what can property avail if dignity and justice fail? Unless you help to make the laws, they'll steal your house with trumped up claws. A rope's as tight, a fire as hot, no matter how much cash you've got. Speak soft and try your little plan, but as for me, I'll be a man. It seems to me, said Booker T. I don't agree, said W.E.B. All right, that was Booker T and W.E.B. by Dudley Randall, again written in 1969. We know around 1969 we were coming off the heels of the Civil Rights Movement, and even at that time they were still reflecting on different ideologies and philosophies that have been presented to help progress the black race forward in America. Dr. Umar Johnson mentioned that he's a Pan-Africanist. That is largely attributed to Marcus Garvey. So I encourage you, if you've never heard any of these names, I encourage you to research them and find out their ideologies on your own. Find out the philosophies. What were the major thinkers of our race promoting back in the early 1900s, late 1800s? And this will, continue the conversation. We continually go back and forth, and we have to return and recover, Sankofa, return and recover ideologies, but we have to remix them and rethink about them and reapply them to what's happening with our culture and with our country in contemporary times, and take the meat, spit out the bones, build, listen to each other. Just because somebody has a different perspective than you, has a different religion than you, does not mean that certain aspects of their perspective will not be useful into helping us become unified, although we're not uniform. Have an awesome week, everybody. Take it one day at a time. If you become better yourself and start positively impacting those immediately around you, it just branches out one to the other. Have a great week.